Hello, it's Andy, it's Victor, it's the Week in Gear. Prepare to get gas because it's time for the Week in Gear. This week, Gibson are back with another signature Les Paul, and Fender announced that they will be returning to NAMM in 2025, which is actually a pretty exciting turnaround for the guitar world. Fender's announcement could mean that NAMM will once again become the most relevant event for the music instrument industry, and we could go back to January being absolutely stuffed full of gear, but I somehow doubt it. This show is sponsored by Pedaltrain. More about them in a little bit. Now, let's kick off this week's most exciting guitar gear releases with that Les Paul from Gibson. Jeff Beck Yardburst 1959 Les Paul Standard Dark Cherry Sunburst. With all respect to Jeff Beck, quite honestly, you might want to skip this part because it's not a guitar for people like us, but if you're interested, Gibson have released a Jeff Beck Yardburst 1959 Les Paul Standard in Dark Cherry Sunburst for the oh-so predictable price of about 10,000 notes. Whew! The interesting thing about this guitar for me is the pickups, which could get Gibson into trouble. More about that in a moment. The maple tops are hand-picked to match the original 59 Les Paul Standard that Jeff Beck was playing in the Yardbirds. The mahogany body is a one-piece and lightweight. As for the neck, we're looking at a 50s rounded medium C, my favourite Les Paul neck, with an Indian rosewood fretboard. Blah blah blah. Blah blah. Whew, blah blah blah. Murphy Lab aged. But let's talk about those oh-so-interesting pickups. You might notice that they are double classic white, as Gibson are calling them, but I know them as double creams, which as far as I know has been trademarked by 𝗬𝗢𝗣𝗅𝗪 pickups. So the question here is, have Gibson licensed these from 𝗬𝗢𝗅𝗪, or do they just not give a flying V? Take away the price of this, and I'm actually sure that this is a great guitar on paper at least. And I don't need to go into how much Jeff Beck changed modern guitar for the better. But it once again screams cash grab for KKR, the investment firm behind Gibson, rather than servicing fans of Jeff Beck, or indeed Jeff Beck's estate or legacy. I'm sorry to be so negative, and it's kind of hard to have Jeff Beck and negativity in the same sort of sentences and feeling. And it is good to have Gibson back on the list again with another Les Paul signature, but every time they do it, they seem to push themselves further from being instrument makers and being art makers or collectors' pieces or just a money-making firm, and it saddens me to see guitars go that way. But it's been a couple of weeks since we've had them on the show, so welcome back, Gibson. Harley Benton have released another pocket-friendly power supply. This time, it's the PowerPlant ISO-12AC Pro Modular. Cracking name choice, Mr. B. This features 12 individually isolated outputs and one non-isolated output, which, if it's one, that makes it isolated. I don't get that. Anyway, and also it includes a USB-A and a USB-C port for charging tablets and phones and personal devices. As suggested by the name, these are modular, meaning that you can link them together with one of those IEC kettle lead connectors, so if you need more than what it's offering, you can get a second one and plug it into the first one. And good news, you also get a bunch of cables provided in the box, but I don't think you get the connecting cable, which is only going to set you back about $5 to $10. Anyway, connecting cables are pretty standard, to be honest. I don't know why I mentioned it. Right, important stuff. The total output of the whole power supply is 27 watts, which is a fair number these days. For pedals, they won't need anything near that, but your USB devices may. The way that the power is distributed is definitely worth talking about, and you need to know this. There are 4 9-volt outputs which have a maximum of 250 milliamps. There are 4 9-volt outputs with a maximum of 500 milliamps, and there are 4 switchable outputs that have a varying amount of milliamps depending on what voltage it's at. So there's 9, 12, or 18 volts, and the outputs therefore are 500, 375, or 250 milliamps respectively. A big selling point here is, in addition to all those outputs, it also has a 3 amp 9 volt output for running effects that need more power, such as quad cortexes or HX stomps, etc., etc. And if you are using it to power the HX stomp from line 6, you'll be happy to know that it also comes with a cable that converts the input to the output, because the HX stomp is a different size to normal 9-volt pedals for some reason. I know why it is. It's to stop people plugging in regular power supplies, I think. As for the price, because it's Harley Benton, you're probably expecting something highly affordable. And you would be right. It is 129 euros from Thomann, and it is available now. My only reserve here is that when pedal power supplies call themselves isolated, there's a history of the more affordable power supplies not being truly isolated. And I'm not clever enough to understand the electronics involved, but I would be interested to open one up and see what's inside to see if it really is isolated. And anyone who wants more information on this kind of thing about isolation should definitely check out the Science of Loud channel, which was formerly CS Guitars, because Colin is a master when it comes to these things. So go over there and he'll tell you everything you need to know. Before we get to number 3 on the list, it's now time to talk about this week's sponsor, Pedaltrain. Pedaltrain boards are strong and light because they're made from hand-welded aircraft-grade aluminium. Does this mean your pedal board can fly? Well, no, but a nano-sized board can fit in your hand luggage, and if you go for the Terra 42, the sky's the limit. Whatever your pedal board needs are, Pedaltrain will have something to suit you. Check them out at the link below. Right, onto the gear list. What a lovely sponsor break. This is the part where I say, if you're enjoying this weekly show, consider that subscribe button. And the thumbs up button too, so that more people get to button the buttons, and then when you button the buttons are buttoned. Thank you! Keeley Electronics have come out with a limited edition Andy Timmons reverb and delay called the Halo Core. Now this is based on the bigger brother Halo, and with that big red light on the Halo Core, it's got to be a nod to HAL 9000, and that really pleases the nerd in me. Also scares me slightly. The Halo Core gives you a modulated dual echo sound, which is Andy Timmons' signature and secret tone source. It is a streamlined version of the main Halo pedal, but it does have a redesigned infinite hold feature. I almost said infinite hole feature then. It's got an infinite hole, which I'm not sure the Halo has. I'm just going to think about infinite holes for a minute. That's even more scary. From what I can gather, it is a tape-style modulation, saturation and compression and reverb and delay. And what it does is make you sound slightly closer to Andy Timmons. Now, I love what Robert Keeley has done with the controls here. It's got one big old knob, which can be either level or saturate if you flip that little alternate switch. But it's also got 2 smaller knobs, which is for feedback, which can also be tone, and time, which can also be a high-pass filter. There's a bypass foot switch, as most pedals have, and a tap or hold switch as well. It is true stereo input and true stereo output, and all in all, if you are a fan of Andy, or Andy's in general, then this is a must-have pedal, which, in that case, I have some bad news. I checked the Keeley website just before filming this, and they've all sold out. So if this is the first time you're hearing about it, I recommend checking Reverb for some naughty people selling theirs at a marked up price. I also recommend you check out Andy's demo on the Keeley YouTube channel, and if you fall in love with the sound, you can still pick up the regular Halo, which has even more features than the Halo Core. They're just more expensive, I think. Well, depends now, doesn't it? They're all sold out. Anyway, if you are one of those naughty scalper people, by the way, stop being so naughty. You naughty person. JHS have just released their first ever modern distortion pedal that is not based on a previously existing circuit, or so they say. It's called the Hard Drive, and it does seem that JHS have put a lot of work into this, as it was first conceived in 2016 and was the last design work from Cliff Smith, the former head engineer of JHS, who passed away in 2021. The controls are pretty standard. It's got volume, it's got drive or distortion, it's a Baxandal 3-band EQ, and a mid-frequencies control. Regarding the sound or the tone, it is the heaviest pedal Josh has ever made. and it seems to model certain pedals pretty well. Also, they've just released some examples comparing it to the Marshall Shredmaster, the Boss DS1, and the Ibanez Smashbox, or SM7. And there's also some others as well. It's available in two colors, black and a sort of white beige, which reminds me of my old CRT monitor from 1995, which makes me quite nostalgic. Oh, doom. There's no difference between the two colors apart from the color, and neither colors are limited edition, so, dealer's choice. As a guitar player that grew up in the 90s and hearing from Josh that this is kind of 90s inspired, I'm going to have to check out one of these purely for the nostalgia factor of this. I do look forward to playing some bad 90s riffs through it at some point. Radiohead, maybe. Not that the riffs are bad, the way I play Radiohead is not exactly accurate. Anyway, it's available now for around 190 notes depending on where you are in the world. There are some links in the video description and first comment.
Andy's Pick of the Week!
Now, although there's some interesting stuff released this week, I found that, quite honestly, the list was missing something and needed some spice to make a kind of bland-ish week a little bit more sexy in the mouth, which is a weird metaphor that I'm going to stop right now. My pick of the week is the Prismatic Wall by Electronic Audio Experiments, and if you're into blippy with a sprinkle or two of bloopy, this could be the pedal for you. I'll tell you what it is in a moment, but for the first time ever, I've asked Victor to include some sound samples from the official demo video, so have a listen to this. That's me pretending to jam out to the sound samples. You can put that over the video if you want. That beautiful sound is emulating the resonance of sympathetic strings, which was inspired by the sound of a cinder block, or a concrete block, I guess I'd say, being placed on a grand piano sustain pedal in a recording studio and then recording in the room with it. So the grand piano would ring out as a sort of reverb sympathetic kind of thing. And that's what the Prismatic Wall is trying to do. And it sounds somehow weird, but also kind of natural. And it sounds somewhere between a synthesizer and a reverb. It uses a variation on a technique called car+ strong synthesis. It's very posh. That's basically filtering a delay and then filtering it back into itself, which mimics the sound of a resonating string. This is one of those pedals where I don't care how it works or why it works. I just love what it does and how it sounds. And I don't care that I don't care. That's how much I like it. I do understand that this is not an effect for everybody, but if you're looking for something very different to anything I've ever heard, then you need to check this out. I really think this is one of those pedals that you should just sit down and mash buttons and twist knobs and have fun rather than read the labels and try to understand what you're doing. And before you know it, the whole day will have passed you by and you'll have forgotten to walk the dog or do the dishes or pick up the kids, and that sort of big echoey rumbly noise in your room could actually be your empty stomach. Electronic Audio Experiments are what I would call a boutique company, so the price reflects that, and it's $399 US, which is quite an investment. But if you want sounds that no one else has, that kind of comes at a price. So I'll put links to their website in the video description and the first comment. Have a listen to the sound samples on their website because I think it will make your day better. Thank you to the wonderful people that support this show on Patreon. Their names are on the screen now. Hey everybody, how are you doing? Also thanks to the lovely people showing their support right here on YouTube. Their names are on screen right now. Hi everybody. If you think your name would look nice up on the screen, then click the join button right here on YouTube or visit my Patreon link in the video description. And here's a special thanks to the top tier members that get their names read out. By the way, I'm doing it all in one breath. This is something that's fun, but I hope nobody else joins the top tier because I'm almost running out of breath when I read these names. I would hate for me to fail. Josh Tamberg, Sarang Narayan, Southern Panda 33, Andrew Morgan, Dustin Bonney, Gary O'Neill, Doug Paget, Alinta Boston, Boom Shakalaka, Dirk. This prank is officially sponsored by Jason Welch, Buzzle, Michael Luna, Buddha Blue, Hugh G. Erection, Pop's Place, April Kurtz, Johnny McBagnerton, and Robin Kelly. Woohoo! I genuinely think 3 or 4 more names, and I'm going to be taking a breath halfway. Anyway, thank you, top tier members. You make my back less itchy. Now, go and put those pedals of yours on a pedal train board, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye!